So here on Water Peak Farm, where we are currently, we farm on about 150 hectares of land here, and we typically keep anywhere between 600 to 700 sheep here on the farm at peak times. And all of the sheep that we have on the farm here, they are what's known as a dual purpose breed. So basically what that means is there is some value in their wool, albeit not very much anymore, unfortunately, greasy. So that's the moccasins. So what I'm going to be actually using to shear the sheep, this scary looking thing here is the handpiece. So what we've got here on the bottom is a fixed comb which glides over the sheep's skin, and then on top of that we've got a 4-tooth cutter which moves over and back really quickly, and it snips all the wool off. It cuts really nice and close to the skin, and it's also really sharp. But it does need to be as sharp as it is to cut the wool as quickly and as cleanly as it does. Now, with that, I'm going to go and grab one of these little guys. Not quite too sure how well the shearing is going to come off today, because these sheep are very wet after all the rain that we had yesterday. So this is the last time you're going to see my pants nice and dry, probably. I'll be soaked in a couple of minutes, but we'll get straight into it anyways. Little boy in for his haircut, and people often wonder at this point, how is the sheep so calm? Because I've just went in, turned it over on its back and dragged it out in front of nearly 200 people, and it doesn't really seem to mind. So people wonder, you know, do we sedate the sheep or do something to try and trick the sheep? I promise you we don't, but the trick is, and maybe I should just block these little ears here when I say this next part, but sheep are not the smartest animals on the planet, and once you keep their 4 legs off the ground, they can't really think of a way of escaping, and then they more or less just give up. And, sit there nice and quietly like this one. Alright guys, there we go, there is one. Especially showing the sun. Very wet little sheep from all the rain yesterday. So I'm just going to pop this little like that. I'm not going to stress him out anymore, even though he was fairly well behaved for his first ever haircut, I reckon. So, another happy customer. Here's the shearing out of the way. So we'll introduce you to the two dogs. This slightly bigger one here, this is Mia, and this little midget over here, this is Miss. And they are both 7 years of age now, and they are in fact border collies, although they obviously look a little bit different too. The traditional border collie that I'm sure most of you are familiar with. The ones with the really long hair, well, they're just a short-haired version of the border collie. And they bred them here in New Zealand to have these nice short coats because the dogs with the long hair here pose a couple of different issues. Well, the traditional border collie, the one with the really long hair, it originated in Scotland, and I can pretty much guarantee you that the dogs that are out working in Scotland aren't running around in temperatures like we get here in New Zealand in the summer. So obviously, some of you may or may not have seen, if you've done a little bit of driving around New Zealand in your time here, you might have come across farmers driving around with a whole team of dogs on the back of their truck. If you did, that is for those reasons that I just mentioned. So depending on what kind of livestock or how much livestock you've got on your farm, depending on what kind of terrain you've got on your farm, you might have a couple of these heading dogs and a couple of huntaways, and you can just kind of mix and match teams then as you see fit, and obviously swap them in and out once they get tired. That is pretty much it, shepherding in a nutshell. So I'm going to send one of these girls to do some work. I think I'm going to send Mia today. It's Mia, which means I am going to tip little Miss up, and she won't be too happy about, but there's a very good reason for tipping Miss up, and it is that all the dogs here are all trained to the exact same commands. So when I do give that casting command to send Mia up the hill, if Miss here wasn't tipped up, she would be off out there herding the sheep. So we're just going to work one dog for now. So what should happen when I cast Mia up the hill is she should keep really nice and close to the fence line on the right hand side of the paddock and get all the ways around to the head of the sheep. So what I don't want Mia to do is to just run straight up the middle of the paddock and run directly towards the sheep, because then the sheep are just going to scatter all over the paddock. So she knows by keeping nice and close to the fence line on the right that all the sheep have to be on. Sheep. Bring back the sheep.
Okay.
Please bring back the sheep. Get away. So, all of the dogs here are all trained to both voice and whistle commands, and we tend to use this shepherd's whistle when the dog gets that little bit further away, just because it's from the whistle travels further, so it prevents me having to shout all day long, which is good. But when the dog gets close enough, we do use the voice commands. So that first whistle that I've blown for Mia, when she got to the top of the hill, that one long continuous whistle, that is the stand command. So you would have seen that Mia stopped when she heard that, and then she has to wait there until I give her her next instruction. The whistle that I've blown after that was the getaway command, which was the exact same command that I gave her here at the gate, but just in whistle form. So you saw that when I blew that she took off to the sheep. Now, these dogs are also trained to left and right commands, or it's probably a little bit easier to think of it as clockwise and anti-clockwise commands around the flock of sheep. And that then is how we position the dog where we need to make sure that the sheep are always moving in the right direction. If I need to get Mia to move nice and slowly towards the sheep, it's the walk up command, which is just 2 short pips on the whistle. So this should get her moving in a straight line towards them. And now at this distance, Mia is probably close enough to start using the voice command. So we don't really need the whistle anymore, but we can still do all the same stuff. So I have to send Mia over to the left as we are looking, or anti-clockwise to get back around those sheep before they escape. So to head off anti-clockwise or to the left, we say, goodbye. Stand. Walk up. Stand. Goodbye. Goodbye. Stand. And then to send our way over to the right, we're walk up. We're Stand. Alrighty. So, pretty easy for Mia. So we'll get her back on stage. Mia, wanna go? Come on. Mia, wanna go? Now, roughly speaking with these dogs, guys, Mia, stand. It can take anywhere between 2 and 3 years to fully train them. So it depends entirely on the dog and also depends on the trainer as well, of course. And New Zealand farmers, they will often buy dogs that are already fully trained. Alright guys, just so everybody can hear, please, can we just keep the noise down? We're almost there, thank you. Mia, not you, stand. So it depends entirely on the dog and also depends on the trainer. And New Zealand farmers will often buy dogs that are already fully trained. Maybe because they don't have the time or else the skills to train the dog themselves. And in that situation, you do have to spend an awful lot of time really bonding with the dog and trying to build up a good trust, so it will really properly listen to your commands. But when these dogs are fully trained, they can be quite valuable. And typically here in New Zealand, you pay around $10,000 for a fully trained dog. But they can fetch quite a bit more. And there was one in the UK a couple of years ago that sold for upwards of 55,000 New Zealand dollars for a single dog. And it sounds like an awful lot of money, but when you see the work that these dogs can do and how easy they make our lives, they really are worth every penny. I mean, roughly speaking, you can get around 10 working years out of your dog if they're cared for correctly. So I mean, $10,000 over 10 years is not a bad investment. If you were to pay someone's salary, on the other hand, go out in the field and run around after the sheep, yeah, you'd be absolutely broke. And Mia here also doesn't go to the pub on a Friday night and bring in sick on Saturday morning, which is quite good as well, I guess. Alrighty guys, with that finishes our show. If anybody has any questions, just pop up here afterwards and ask me. Just be careful on the stage here, it is a little bit snippy. Just remember to keep the ears open for that steam whistle as well. When you do hear that, just slowly make your way back to the boat. With that guys, thanks very much for coming out and I hope you had a great day.
Thank you.